Today I met with Sweden's finance market minister on blockchain technology. It was a big delegation both from the industry side and from the ministry side. And I started this very formal meeting by taking out some pink balls. And I could see how some people in the room panicked. What is that CTO Larsson doing? But I felt that when sitting in that position, you rarely get the chance to actually understand how something works. So I took a stab at explaining it. You will get to hear what the minister said after the meeting, and while recording was prohibited during the actual meeting, I can repeat to you what I said. Thank you everyone for being here. When I studied in Linköping in 1992, we could do AI already. It could learn simple things like playing chess. Then it took 31 more years until that technology could pass a law exam or a doctor's exam. But there was one problem we couldn't solve. Something that seems so trivial. Then I took up the ball. In the physical world, if I have this ball, now you have it. I don't have it anymore. But in the digital world, if I want to send something of value to someone else from my computer, we couldn't do it. Because if I put a digital representation of this ball in an email, I can send it to two people at the same time. And at that moment, they both think they got it. And I can send it to 10,000 people. They all think they got it. And especially for financial transactions, something of value, that just doesn't fly. That's called the double spend problem in computer science. And the only way we could solve it was to introduce a third party who keeps digital accounts. That third person updates their account ledger to keep track of who has the ball or the money. And as a result, we have a lot of entities in our digital society to fulfill exactly that function of keeping that account or register. Commercial banks, Stockholm Stock Exchange, the Land Office, the Archive and the City Planning Office, AstraZeneca's Register of Medicine Batches, Ericsson Charging Data Records, and so on and so forth. I could go on all day. Bitcoin and blockchain was the first solution to the seemingly trivial problem of sending something digital to someone else. A new field of technology opened. Smart contracts, a financial exchange as a piece of software operating billions of dollars in trade volume with no person and no company involved. Suddenly there are ways to solve old problems faster, more transparently and cheaper by a factor 1000. Now that it's invented, it's not going to go away. In Sweden we missed the opportunity with AI, despite the promising start. We largely missed the opportunity with the Internet Web 2, a few exceptions. In telecom, we arguably did rather well. But that's really 1 out of 3. There is one key difference between blockchain versus the Internet or telecom or AI. You couldn't invest in the HTTP protocol or the TCP/IP protocol or the GSM protocol. If you liked it, you had to find a company to invest in. But because of the way that this double spend problem was solved with attaching value to the item being transferred, you have to invest in the protocol to use a blockchain. That's how it works. Which lands this technology with 1 foot in financial markets from day one. Blockchain will take decades to reach the maturity of the iPhone or ChatGPT or Google or Nvidia or Amazon. We're still early. With blockchain today, we're back in the 90s, back to the time when we, a bunch of silly teenagers, got to try our software on a supercomputer. It was amazing. Imagine if we had tried to shut down the entire field of computers back then. That would have been a disaster for Swedish innovation and Swedish economy today. Blockchain technology will have as big impact on our society as telecom and internet has had, and as AI will have very soon. That's another huge opportunity for Sweden, if we grab it early. That's why it's so great that we have this conversation today. Thank you for being here, Minister Wykman, and everyone here. I love Sweden. I'm proud of our country and society, and I see a huge opportunity ahead of us. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a finance expert. I'm just an engineer. I'm just a technology guy but I'm happy to be of help in any way I can. Thank you. Then the CEOs for the exchange companies, the regulatory experts went much more in depth about the MiCA implementation in Europe and all the work that we have to do. So Minister Wykman, do you see any possibility for blockchain in Sweden?
I think with the MiCA regulation, at least there is a chance. From a policy perspective, from a political perspective, it is of course necessary with a stable and transparent regulation. Without that, it's not possible for the industry to grow. Then if the industry grows or not, I think that's a market decision basically. But of course we need the regulations. Now the MiCA regulation comes and we have to implement it and work with it in Sweden.
Yeah, what opportunities do you see?
First of all, there's this discussion, and also from our agency, that it's a huge risk for consumers, volatility. There's the criminal aspects as well. And then there is, on the other hand, all those positive aspects that we heard about today, what you can do with new technology. And of course, Sweden has always been a technology-friendly country. So of course, we need a system where we can ensure consumer safety, fight crime, but also welcome new technology, new development. But what you can do with it, I think the industry knows much more of than the politics. Or
did you feel that you gained something today?
Of course. I made a joke and said that I understand it's like you people trying to explain to me about this industry. It's like me trying to explain to my grandmother how the iPhone works. This is a new industry with new opportunities, new technology. It's not so straightforward to see the benefits, but that's always the case with a new technology. It's difficult to know whether or not it's going to be a success or a failure. And that's not up to me to decide, but of course we need to implement this regulations, and we need to work further with the regulations so that we have consumer safety and also a possibility for the industry to show their strength. That's really up to the industry and not up to the politics.
Do you have some advice for everyone working in the blockchain industry? What can we do better in engagement with government and policymakers?
I always say that I don't necessarily think it's a good idea for entrepreneurs to take advice from politicians, and that might go also the other way around. But of course, if this is to succeed, it's of course of crucial importance to be compliant with the rules and the regulations. Otherwise, there will only be mistrust.
Yeah. The current government of Sweden, I perceive as business friendly. Do you see that as an advantage?
Of course, being business friendly is the only way to create job, good income, good welfare in a country. And when it comes to this industry, when it comes to blockchain and digital currency and so on, it's of course up to the industry to show its self-worth. What we need to do is of course to implement the regulations and to have a fair, balanced regulations, protect consumers and so on. But of course, in general, a good business climate is good for any sort of business, this or others.
You asked a very relevant question in the room. You asked, so how is this better than the traditional system? What is it that's actually better? And I feel that that's one thing that we need to be clear on and be better at answering. So that's one thing that I take back from this meeting. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It was very good. It went well. Positive for the implementation of MiCA in Sweden.
So Per, people know you as the legendary mayor of Solna, but now you're full-time blockchain crypto.
Maybe not full-time, but I started a public relations and public affairs company focused on cryptocurrency and blockchain companies to help them interact with decision makers, media, and so on. So that's a part of my job these days.
And I think this was maybe the first meeting on this level in the government, was it?
Absolutely. In Sweden was the first high-level meeting on cryptocurrency and the implementation of MiCA and blockchain. So out of that point, this was a huge success.
So guys, if you run a blockchain company and you need help with, what do you do exactly?
We do public relations, public affairs, and advisory council services.
You know what to call W3PA. No affiliation, not paid, just huge fan. It's now only 6 days left for existing members who have taken the course to join Lars Online Pro at 50% off for life. Thank you Per for this amazing day.
Thank you.
Thank you, tack. CTO Larsson out. Hej då.